action. Public comment period allowed. Commission Regulation 12-01, Amendment Number 1, 2012 Black Bear Season Recommendation, Open Units. Game Division Chief Larry Gilbertson. Commission may adopt amendments to the 2012 Black Bear season for open unit designations and/or portions of those units with special designations.
Oh my God, we get you?
Maybe.
Go ahead, Larry.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, Larry Gilbertson, Department of Wildlife. We bring forward today Commission Regulation 12-01, Amendment Number 1, Black Bear Season recommendation for unit, open units. And I guess just to start, I'd like to maybe clear up a little bit of miscommunication on the department's part of the recommendation. I've heard various testimony on the department's recommendation. And really, as you heard from my staff yesterday in their presentations, we've been criticized on both sides of this issue. Some of the sportsmen have criticized us for coming up with a recommendation that wasn't based solely on science and factual information. And as I mentioned in February, our recommendation wasn't based on biology for the open units, and it wasn't based on documented problems that we found out there or anything like that. But if you remember the staff's presentations yesterday, we do look at the social part of our recommendations. A really simple example of that is when Tony explained that mule deer can be as low as $5 per 100 does and still successfully reproduce. Obviously, the input we've received through the decades indicates that people are more interested in having a lot larger representation of older age class males in the populations, and we've modified our recommendations to do that. And so when we look at all of the input we've received since 2010, since the summer of 2010 when this all started with the bear hunt, we received tremendous input from outside. And when we looked at it for this year's recommendation, we talked about should we look at some areas not to be open, portions of those units. And there's no sinister idea or anything behind it. We just merely looked at that input and did what we normally do, and that is when we make a regulation, we like to discuss it with law enforcement naturally to see if it's enforceable. That's an important thing. And so our recommendation to close portions of the basin were based on what's an identifiable geographical structure or road or something up there, and it seemed like everybody was aware of what the Tahoe Rim Trail was. And so that we agreed that that sounded like something that was enforceable, and that is why our recommendation came out the way it did. And after some testimony yesterday, apparently the Tahoe Rim Trail isn't that identifiable everywhere, but that was the best one that we could come up with, so that's really where our recommendation came from.
Okay, and just for clarification, is the department's recommendation, is that what what the committee had as in number 2, alternative 2?
Correct. I believe that's about as close to it as it is.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay. So we had a lot of discussion with regard to this yesterday, and we went over the maps in detail and looked at all of the 4 alternatives that the Bear Committee considered, and we also know that the Bear Committee has made a recommendation to the to the Commission for alternative number 4, which, at least in my mind, after looking at all of the different alternatives, they with the exception of number 1, are all fairly close in my mind. With just additional areas added or subtracted, and so anyway, I guess what I'll do is I'll bring it back to the Commission for some discussion before we take it out to public comment. Any commissioners? Go ahead, Vice Chairman Robb.
Excuse me. The past couple days between the committee meeting and yesterday, you've heard me talk about core values a lot, so I'm not going to bore you a third time with that. But A lot of what I heard the past couple days and what I've heard leading up to this, since this map issue became an issue, from the sportsman side is hunters are ethical people. We're the right people. We do right things. We're very safe. We take the high road. We do everything we can to avoid conflict. The other night during one of our meetings, Judy brought up the fact one time she had a deer tag in the Mount Rose area, pulled into the Whites Creek Trail, had her horse trailer, and there was a lot of people using that trailhead that day. So as an ethical hunter, she didn't unload her horses where a lot of people were walking and went and hunted in a different place where there wouldn't be that conflict. And she believes that's what hunters do, and I believe that's what hunters do. Yesterday we had houndsmen come up and say that they wouldn't turn their dogs out up, Spooner, Kingsbury area because they didn't think that would be the right thing to do, because that's what ethical hunters do, and that's the way that we do things. So I've heard a bunch about the hunters' ethics, but then I heard a total flip side come from the hunters at the same time, and that voice was, we need to fight. And so we're saying how ethical we are, but at the same time we're saying, hey, we need to get into a fight. And when I was younger, I had a total inability to walk away from a fight. I did. And one thing that I found out about fighting was I never came out of one that I felt better when I went in. It hurts, you get dirty, you get bloody. And the people that aren't in the fight, there's a lot of people around watching you fight, and they're shaking their head at you and kind of in disgust saying, why are you guys fighting? You lose respect to people around you, and we're in a fight. The way I see it, I'm a sportsman representative, and I can't be out on the trail every day with the hunter's ethics and doing the right thing and showing that hunters are ethical and doing the right thing. So my vote for number 4 the other day at the committee meeting was showing that hunters are ethical and do the right thing and take the high road. And this is my trail here. This is my boundary. This is how I show that I'm an ethical hunter and that hunters are ethical. And so that's why today I'll be supporting map 4.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any comments before? I'll hold mine until. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Wallace.
I have some comments, but I'm going to hold them until after the testimony.
Yeah, I think all of us probably. But anyway, thank you. Okay. I guess with that, I will go ahead and take this agenda item out to the public for public comment. So, Vice Chairman Rob, do we have a bunch of folks that are?
Gerald went.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jerry Lent for the record. And I won't be too repetitive from yesterday, but I want to address some concerns that were expressed yesterday. I suggested we need to compromise and go with Ulmer 4 and take that completely out of the Lake Tahoe Basin, because if you go with Ulmer 3, you're still leaving part of it in, so it gives the antis something just to bitch about. And most of the complaints were from people and businesses that oppose a hunt are inside the basin. Like it was said by some commissioners, if a hunt was never proposed for the Tahoe Basin, the opposition would probably be not here today, and I think I agree with that. And yesterday I heard some comments from people on cabs, and I think there's Elko here, said, just take it to the legislature. Wow, how dangerous. They have never seen the legislature process in action, probably don't even know who their legislators are, and have never been to Carson City to testify, like you, Mr. Chairman, and others on the commission. You know what it's like. I also heard, roll up your sleeves. That's a ridiculous statement, probably from someone who had never participated in the process. I keep hearing from cabs, look at the data. Well, look at the data. It shows we don't need the Lake Tahoe Basin as no bears were taken there. Hunters are satisfied. We have a good hunt. There's plenty of hunting opportunities elsewhere. Like I said, it's just an eagle trip. There's no compromise with some of this testimony. Their philosophy is there are bears there and we have a right to hunt them. Well, that's not smart thinking, in my opinion, as a hunter, and I'm a hunter. And I heard testimony, no houndsman would hunt in the area anyway. Then why have a hunt there? because most of the people hunt with a dog or a hound. So why have a hunt there if they wouldn't go there? Also, I heard it's not going away. Essentially saying just shove it down their throats. That's true. But compromise might not take you out of the legislative process, but it sure improves your position. Now, you are the good guys who made an effort to compromise. It shows good faith in the legislature when you say we took it out of their backyard. Wouldn't you want to negotiate and testify with that position? I say yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don Moldy.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Don Moldy, Reno. Hard to follow Dr. Lent today. I'm kidding. I just have one brief comment since I had my say yesterday, and I want to address the issue of whether choosing these options is data-based, according to what sportsmen seem to think they prefer. And I would simply point out to you that over the years, I've heard a number of occasions where a rancher is complaining that elk is nibbling at his haystack. And what do? You simply go kill the elk. You know, have a special hunt, issue some tags, people go out, kill some elk. Maybe the haystack doesn't get nibbled as much. There's no science behind that. It's simply a social decision that you make to help the rancher out by killing some elk that's in his immediate area. I don't see any difference between that situation, which you've done many times over the 35 years I've come here, with a situation in Tahoe where the people there say, we don't want you here. We don't want you nibbling at our haystack in the Tahoe Basin. So please don't do it. I don't basically see any difference between the rancher situation with the elk and what they're asking you to do here. To me, it's one and the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Bertoldi.
For the record, Mike Bertoldi, representing today the Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. I'd like to first start by saying, Commissioner Robb, I've known you for a long time. I know you're a man of principle, and no matter what happens here, that won't change.
Thank you.
My respect for you. I think our position has been stated quite clearly. I'd just like to summarize it a little bit. We successfully conducted last year's hunt with no public safety issues. We did have one legal issue, and it was dealt with very aggressively by Endow law enforcement. There was a thorough indoctrination, probably the most thorough hunting indoctrination I've ever seen for bear hunters. The harvest results indicate the majority of the bears taken were mature, the vast majority. I think there's only one that wasn't, and that sound science supports a bear hunt. Based on those facts, we see no reason to change the hunt area restrictions for this year and support alternative one. I'd like to also add that if the Tahoe Basin is closed to bear hunting, we feel that the residents in the Tahoe Basin should deal financially with problem bears through assessments through the incorporated areas or whatever way they can find. We do not feel that sportsmen's dollars should be spent to take care of problem bears if we don't have the right to hunt them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gina.
She wanted to listen to everybody else.
I just got here, I was late. Good morning. For the record, Gina Gryson, Nevada Voters for Animals, and speaking on behalf of the Las Vegas Valley Humane Society. I just actually heard an interesting comment from someone who I believe is sometimes very wise. I'm not sure that the question really is about which map to pick. You know, we heard so much testimony yesterday. I believe that, as the bear biologist pointed out, there are a lot of bears in California. I don't know that we should even be having a bear hunt here. I think there's so much controversy surrounding this, and I don't think it's going to go away just by picking one of the different unit maps. I believe that you should just be able to maybe go right next door in California and be able to hunt bears, and let this controversy die down. Let us all work together to try to improve the Department of Wildlife, find new revenue streams, so that we can better manage our wildlife. Because the interest is just going to continue to grow in the wildlife. Things are changing. You know, Nevada's becoming more progressive. So I'm sure you're probably going to end up picking 4 by the end of the day, but I really hope that you will really, you know, down the road consider that, you know, I keep hearing about, you know, the antis and this. The fact is, I wouldn't even be here probably today if not for this bear hunt. I wouldn't have started attending the meetings and seeing what was going on with the trapping and seeing what was going on with who was on these committees and digging deeper and peeling away the layers and seeing more and more things that concern me. And, you know, I keep being told that most people don't really care about the wildlife. They don't really care how it's managed. But as more and more people find out, there were, I mean, as you've seen, when I spoke to the governor's office before the 2011 legislative session started, they had received more emails and faxes and calls on the bear hunt than they had about the economy. I think that speaks volumes. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Webster Arthur.
Thank you. My name is Webster Arthur. I'm a full-blooded Nez Perce Indian from Idaho, but I've been living in Pyramid Lake Paiute Reservation for the last 45 years, and therefore I kind of feel like I'm a full-blooded Paiute. So, but
the microphone, please.
But well, I want to express myself. This might take about 3.5 minutes. But I want to commend you. I've been this my 3rd meeting, and you gentlemen, young guys, have expressed yourself very good and solid. And I really like the way that Jack has been talking, and Mike, and you with the neck brace, and
Dave.
and you guys have really been in there. And I'm totally against hunting the bear for Native Indian spiritual, because I'm Indian and I'm Native religion, and that's the way the way we believe. I've been a hunter up in the Moloxaw Mountains up in northern Idaho on a Clearwater River, a Loxaw River, and each year we go up and hunt for elk. I've encountered many bears, well, bears too. But anyway, I confronted bears, you know. So, but I've never had any problems with any bear. You know, they look at me, they look at you, and they turn around. They don't even, you know, they don't run away. They just mosey on their own stuff. You know, and being a bear hunter, you know, I've never been a bear hunter because I don't consume bear meat, you know, and therefore, but I've been kind of a bear religion throughout my entire life, and I know that the bear religion throughout the United States, Canada, and parts of Mexico, as it's kind of universal. So, to the native people. So anyway, I just wanted to say that you know, you got a big job, and you got to watch. The initial meeting, you know, I was proud of you to stop the cheerleading, you know, because we certainly don't need that, because this is entirely serious, you know, and the way we feel, it's about life and death, you know. And certainly we don't want to take a bear's life because he's on the same earth as we are, see, and he's got to serve out his time living on earth too. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, you know, and I appreciate and I really certainly enjoy listening to you, your ideologies and you know, and being young guys like you've got an open mind, you know, and just keep it that way. And but think of life too, you know. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Dennis Wilson.
For the record, my name is Dennis Wilson, representing Nevada Bighorns Unlimited. Nevada Bighorns Unlimited is taking the science-based focus of this issue. The science has not changed. The management goals of the Nevada Department of Wildlife relating to the bear population have not changed. The 2011 bear hunt was successful and well managed. Since there have been no changes in the science nor in the management parameters, Nevada Bighorns Unlimited would ask you to consider alternative number 1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Wellington. Darrell Harwell.
Darrell Harwell speaking for myself. I wasn't here at yesterday's meeting, so I missed a lot of this conversation. But when it comes down to the Tahoe Basin, I can tell you I've hunted it the last 42 years, bluegrass. And it's not about the bears, it's about hunting. Most of these people are against hunting. They're using the bear as the factor. And I was like, why are we going to restrict the bears if we didn't do the deer? I've received several telephone calls, the new regulations now, this year, you're closing off the air to the deer. So probably where they were doing it to the mountain lion, you're probably going to do it to the bluegrouse. So they're making changes up on that hill anyway. We all know, you know, if 192, 194 comes close, hey, there's a bear sanction. They already have an issue up there with bears. Why increase it by not allowing people up there? And it is public land, multiple use. I'm a native Nevada. Hunting is a heritage. It's a tradition. Don't stop it.
Thank you.
Gil.
For the record, Gil Yannick, I'm representing myself. I appreciate the comments from several Native Americans who were here yesterday and today. I thought the gentleman that was just up here was totally honest with you. And the bear is sacred to them. The young lady that got up here that initially told us that, you know, she spent 4 years defending the country or following her commander-in-chief. So, you know, putting herself in harm's way under those orders. And made an impassioned plea for how important the bear was to her. And you can't help but take note of that. And, you know, I really commend her for doing that and for getting up here and saying how important it was. At the same time, we had a couple of people come up here and threaten. Because if you didn't take it that way, I sat there and I took it that way. That, you know, they were going to go tell your dad on you, the legislature. They were going to threaten to get people on the commission, to get people who felt the way they did on the cabs. Well, you know, if you're qualified and you're willing to put in the work and the effort for no pay, great. We welcome the help. I'd like to have a lot of people get up at 3 o'clock in the morning with me and go out and count sage grouse, or go out with Mel Belding and his volunteers, build guzzlers to protect and improve the habitat and the livelihood, the likelihood that the sheep and the other animals that need water are going to have the benefit of that. And that's the kind of thing that most of the sportsmen and women in the state have been doing for years. I've only been in this position for about 11 years. I'm getting older. I'm getting a little more tired. I'd like to see some people come in and do some of this. But don't threaten me. Don't come in here and warn me that you're going to do certain things. Because, you know, when it's all said and done, this is still the land of the free and the home of the brave, guys. And we sportsmen who wrote letters to the governor asking him to appoint you to the positions that you currently have, please remember that your commitment to those people who helped you be where you are today to make the decisions for the benefit of the habitat and the wildlife of this state. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Dixon.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark County. I'll come back to, and I think Jeremy stated it first and probably best yesterday. There are three things this commission needs to consider when you make a decision. You need to consider the science, the cab input, and public input. And I think Dr. Moldy's analogy of elk nibbling on a haystack, I think you meet two of the three criteria when you look at elk on a haystack of determining those are there. You've heard from Nevada Bighorns Unlimited and others that the science hasn't changed for what we put forward. There's not a drastic change in the population numbers. There weren't major conflicts or other things that went on in the system. You have unanimous cab input. You have 2 out of the 3. I realize that there's a lot of pull and there's political and other things to push, but from a cab perspective, why we recommended option 1 was based on that sort of reasoning on our side, where 2 for 3 is the answer. It pushes you over the top. Again, you are our officials sitting up here to represent and protect the wildlife and habitat of this state, and to do it the best way you can. And I'm glad I'm not in one of your seats today and yesterday or the last couple of months. It's been tough. And so please make the right decisions based on where your moral compass is, Commissioner Rob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Bauer. Or Bourne, I'm sorry.
How are you doing today? My name is Stephen Bourne, for the record. I'm a member of the Nevada Houndsman Association, and at one of our last meetings, we kind of did a stance that item 7, alternative 1, was where we would stand on the fact that nothing happened, there should be no changes. So, with that being said, personally, yesterday I made a comment that I wouldn't hunt my hounds in that area, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't hunt that area. I possibly would go and spot and stalk in that area. It depends. I'm a hunter. I'm going to look at if there's a large bear there or if there's a problem bear, I may want to go in that area and maybe help somebody out. Maybe I have several friends that own property up in that area. They would probably allow me to be on their property and spot and stalk or hunt with archery equipment, whatever. I'm not in it just to go and kill a bear. I'm about hunting, ethics, things like that. The science and the data prove that the bear population needs to be managed in the state of Nevada. And yes, we do need to do something about it. If you close that area, the sportsman dollars, as one of the other gentlemen said, shouldn't go to maintain problem bears in that area. I agree with that. Most of the problem in the Tahoe Basin up there is human error. It's the encroachment of the habitat by landowners up there. They've pretty much created their own problem. Now we have more and more bears come along. There's more and more people. There's less space for everyone. Now we have hunters that are trying to do something about that, and then we are losing our rights as portions of where we can hunt, where we can't hunt. I don't agree with that. I think I should be able to hunt within reason of a gun law or whatever of someone's house. I accept that kind of rights and those responsibilities under my ethics as a hunter. The simple fact, it seems that it's not about the bear hunt. It's about hunting in general. The people of nobearhunt.org, their name says it all. They don't want a bear hunt. They don't want hunting at all. It's done. They don't want it. And they'll fight tooth and nail to get it. One thing I'd like to say as a sportsman, access to areas are being constantly threatened. Roads are being closed, things of that nature. It's getting more difficult to be able to hunt somewhere because of roads, people, encroachment, habitat problems. Doesn't matter if it's a mule deer, bear, mountain lion, elk, or sage grouse, or even chucker birds. Hunting access, we're losing it daily. And commonly the fight, reason why I'm digging my heels in, is I'm tired of walking on eggshells and giving in and just being passive to let people do their thing. I'm tired of it. I got to stand up and do something, or pretty soon my sons and daughters, our heritage and our rights to hunt won't be around. And then where are we going to be? Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
Patrick McLaughlin.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Patrick McLaughlin. I've been a resident of Washoe County for 45 years, and I've lived in Verdi for 30 years. We used to have a lot of animals in the Verdi area. Last year, we lost the only 2 bears we had. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who signed the nobearhunt.org group. I'm a hunter. I've been a hunter all my life. But I don't want to see our bears in the Verdi, Tahoe, Gardnerville, Mendon area completely wiped out. And as more people come moving here to northern Nevada, when I came here, there were 55,000 people. I think there's like probably 400,000 now. And I just think that a compromise with all these thousands and thousands of people who have asked you not to allow the bear hunt, you can make a compromise by taking the western boundary of the hunt to Highway 395. So coming up from the south through Gardnerville, Mendon, and out here past Stead, everything west of Highway 395, keep it off the bear hunt. But if the people who want to hunt bears don't mind going out east of here, then have a bear hunt. But I'm opposed to the bear hunt basically, but I would make a compromise and just draw 395 as the western boundary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Lisa Bonta.
My name is Lisa Bonta. I represent the Northern Nevada Paiute Nation, the Numa people. I'm also an active member of the American Indian Movement and the chapter director of the Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee. I've been in this room for 3 days concerning what I consider the murder of our relatives, but what you refer to as the bear hunt. The bears are sacred to our people, as you have heard for the past few days. They provide strength and healing to our people, but people outside our culture do not understand this. And based on some of the comments in this room, I don't believe that they want to understand this. We stand firm on our position of no bear hunt. We respect the committee's religious convictions, whatever they may be, and we ask the same respect with regard to killing our sacred bears. I've heard comments about hunting in people's backyards. Our tribal governments were not and have not been a part of the decision to hunt the bears. And the land that's being hunted on belongs to many Native tribes, so you are hunting in our backyards. We want the committee to know that we are not the enemies, and we ask the committee today to please respect and honor our traditional Native American values and stop the killing of our sacred bears.
Thank you.
Karen Taylor.
For the record, excuse me, for the record, my name is Karen Taylor, and I've been a Washoe County resident since childhood. I was talking to my family last night, and 40% of my life has been spent in the Galena area. We've built a few homes there, and for those of you who don't live in this area, you should know that the developers market that area as great living for people who want access to wildlife areas and be residents close to town at the same time. There are trails starting from my neighborhood that go right into the boundaries where the wilderness starts. And those trails are frequented by not only those of us with our family members hiking and snowshoeing, but also by a lot of tourists. I met some tourists from New Zealand who were hiking in the Galena area last year. The gentleman, I think his name is Gil, he's exactly right. We residents have not done enough to help manage wildlife, and I'm hoping that maybe with some of this interest that you've observed that will change. Also, I wanted to make a recommendation that, or make a comment that for someone who has sat in the legislature when bills were being introduced and heard, good faith does go a long way. You're exactly correct. And real quick, thank you for getting feedback from the residents like me regarding our concerns for safety and quality of life. And I'm obviously a proponent for Bear Unit number 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Bruner. And while Bob's coming up, that's the last card that I have for today. If you filled out cards yesterday for this item, I don't have those cards from yesterday, so if you want to speak after Bob, could you please get a card and I'll make sure I've got it.
For the record, Bob Bruner. Yesterday I talked about hunters having rights on public land. Today I'd like to talk to and remind you all that hunters did show respect to the public, public's wants and needs. The department showed respect to the public by making sure that we didn't have any conflicts and that the training was excellent, that the enforcement was excellent. I mean, it really showed that they know how to run a bear hunt, okay? And the bear hunt is about, you know, a couple of things. One is we have a right and a tradition to do that, and you know, just the same way as hikers are a small portion of the population, they police themselves, they make their own trails, they do whatever. Well, we're doing the same thing, and I think we did a really good job of that last year. People have the right to live in the Tahoe Basin. 62 bears died in 2007 as they exercised their right to do that, but I'm not trying to interfere with their rights. I'm trying to make sure that we maintain ours. One other thing I did mention at the subcommittee meeting is we wanted to have a second subcommittee meeting, and so I said, well, since sportsmen and women paid for the first subcommittee meeting, let's have some of these groups pay for the second subcommittee meeting. And we need to, if we're going to involve ourselves in bears and bear hunting and bear management, let's go, okay? You folks are handling and managing bears and hunting bears using the North American Wildlife Management Plan that has worked with everything from quail to moose in every state in the Union. So this is something that you're charged to do by law, and it's something that we like to do because of our heritage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Smith.
I'm Tom Smith, representing the Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife. You already know where the coalition stands on this, and we've recommended number 1. But what I'd really like up here to say right now is not testimony of bears. I'd really like to thank all of the people in this room, especially the gentleman, lady sitting in front of me, for being here. There's thousands and thousands of hours of conservationists hours on the ground out among the hunting public. And it's nice to see even the anti-hunting public get involved in some of our wildlife issues. That's something we haven't seen enough of. Mr. McNinch made a point yesterday, a very valid one, that it's nice to see you out here. We'd like to see you out here a lot more often than just at a crucial time like this. The wildlife in the state of Nevada need protection all of the time, not just part of the time. In this room right now, Larry Johnson's not here, but Mel Belding, both Wayne Kirsch Award winners. Gil, Ken, Jim, men who have spent hundreds of hours in volunteer work in the state of Nevada are up here asking for number one. But because, and they have, and again, we know where we stand on that, but what we really need is all of the people in the state of Nevada to step forward and, as they have on this issue, on all of our issues, the Department of Wildlife needs more general funding. We get very little from the general fund. There needs to be more people going out to our state legislature. They're talking about going to the state legislature over this. I've been to the state legislature, as has everybody on the coalition, for as many years as I've been in it. I believe I've been to 5 state legislatures and testified in every single one many times. That goes for everybody in this room has been up there, if they're on the hunting side, has been to the state legislature. We all need to step up. Again, echoing Mr. McNinch from yesterday, this effort doesn't need to stop in this room over one issue. We have many, many hunting issues, and we need everybody's support, both sides, all of the time. There's a lot of other animals out there besides, for example, if we make the bear, if the bear isn't being hunted, it still needs protection. That goes for a lot of our wildlife that are not being represented, and the people who are not hunters need to step up and represent them more. We welcome them in this room. And I like to see a lot more of it, and I really appreciate the efforts of all of the volunteers. And believe me, hunters are probably the main conservationists in this room. The people who step up all of the time are the hunters. You know, from the Department of Wildlife, they volunteer over and over and over again to do count sage hen, to plant fish, to, there are just so many numerous things that they do. Build the guzzlers. And again, I'd like to thank all the people in this room that do put in that volunteer hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Larry Johnson.
Larry Johnson, at this point, probably my comments are probably just representing myself. Haven't run this by board of directors or anything. So I came in this morning from Palomino Valley, awe-inspiring to see a couple herds of antelope along the sides of the hillsides, and pretty amazing because 20 short years ago you would never see an antelope in that valley.
Could you speak up a little bit, Larry?
Sure. Okay. I'm soft-spoken. You know, it reminds me of the days back in the 80s when my wife and I would go to Canada every winter and capture bighorn sheep to bring back to Nevada. Brought back memories of the years that I sat on elk planning and lobbied through the legislature for damage compensation to ranchers to enable elk to spread across the eastern part of the state as they have. Reminded me of the millions of dollars and the tens of thousands of volunteer hours that our sportsmen have put into habitat programs that we, in this partnership with the Department of Wildlife and the federal land management agencies, are the reason that we have the extent of wildlife resources that we do today. I've been involved in the political process in the legislature, I think, since 1989. And what I see happening here is a very close parallel with what happened with the non-resident lawsuit against the state, where commissioners were individually named in that lawsuit, and quite frankly, the fear of God was in that commission. Okay, so when we proposed a formula that gave Nevadans increased hunter opportunity, the commission universally opposed it because we had lawyers on the board, and they told their fellow commissioners, we need to do what's smart, okay? We had the courage to do what we thought was right. And because of that, we united the game boards around the state, and they were once again unanimous in their recommendations that our formula be accepted, which resulted today probably in an excess of 10,000 Nevadans having hunting opportunity that they did not. Okay, because we did what we thought was right. Okay, we get so caught up in doing what we think is smart that we lose sight in doing what is right. That's my comments today. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
That's all I have for cards.
Any other public comment? Okay, before I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the commission, but before I do, I'm going to let's take a 5-minute break. Your chairman has to go to the restroom.